Hello there, Pursuing Freedom friends and community. Thanks for being with us today. If you have been listening for a long time, you know how much I love you coming back and tuning in and being an avid supporter of the Pursuing Freedom podcast. And if you are new here, this is your host, Erin Bradley. Welcome aboard. And you are not going to regret the time you spend today with me and my buddy, Sean Connolly. So Sean, you guys, has done it all. He is a CEO, a real estate investor. He is a syndicator. He's the founder of an organization called Scale Virtually. He's an online marketing expert. He's everything that we love here at Pursuing Freedom. And rather than waste any more time with my breath introducing him, I'm going to let him share his backstory because we were just nerding out before we started recording about the power of scale in your business and the reality of the fact that you as an individual, as a solopreneur, become your own bottleneck time and again in this journey. And that as we evolve as business owners, as human beings, entrepreneurs, we need to be curious and willing to reevaluate how we want the future of our business to look and feel so that we can break through those ceilings that we confine ourselves to simply because we don't know another way. And that is Sean's area of expertise through Scale Virtually and everything else that he does at the highest level imaginable. So I'm so glad you're with us today, Sean. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to share with our community.
Thank you so much, Erin. I look forward to the conversation today.
Bring us back a little bit, Sean. Like, how did you develop this passion that you have to serve in this arena, and how did your personal journey unfold to where you are now, running all these businesses and contributing at such a high level?
Yeah, first off, I'm just an extremely driven person. I have that tenacity, always have had it. No, nothing's really ever enough. I'm hyper competitive. So a lot of it has been a natural evolution. In my journey in my career, the first like 15 years of my career, I was able to be like top salesperson in a company and got involved in the C-level room and was able to see how companies were run at a very young age. When I was 23, I started running head of sales for a company that got sold for $54 million after 11 months. And I got to see everything that went on behind the scenes. So that was really helpful in my own entrepreneurial journey because I got to lead departments, start new departments, go to London, start their sales organization over there. So there's a lot of different experiences I had along the way, but that transferred into, I started my own online marketing agency. I was listed on the Inc. 500, really started growing a group of people, built out a huge technology platform with a group of people from the University of Chicago, and didn't know what I was doing, but kind of, just figuring it out along the way. And I was making really, really good money in that company. And, of course, the rich dad, poor dad, passive income thing was in the back of my head where I got to start investing my money for wealth. Little did I know, I chose a couple investors that I parked my money with, but then I told them that I'm an active investor. I want to see their whole model and analyze what they did. A year later, I figured I could do it better. And that wasn't the case a year later. Made a lot of mistakes my first year. But I was really aggressive. I bought 9 multifamilies within 3 months. So that's not, I wouldn't say your typical entry into doing real estate, but it was for me because I wanted to aggressively grow. And the thing that happened was the person that I hired on, first contractor, he ripped me off, and I figured it out. And then I spent 5 years in the field, designing all the systems and processes around developing my own real estate company and hiring my own contractors and building up a team of 50 to 60 guys, and then hiring a superintendent that would manage those people for me. And then moving on to do more acquisitions and more capital raising for that company. Fast forward to what was an absolute superpower for me. So I wish I knew about this, when I started my career, because I think I could have been so much more impactful, and I think I could have exponentially grown everything I did faster. And that thing is, I realized very young in starting my real estate company that I wanted to make virtual staffing a superpower of mine. The hardest thing for me as an entrepreneur was always being able to afford the next hire, right? We get to a certain place and it's like, all right, when can I make the move to hire the next person? And when you're looking at a $30,000 to $50,000 hire, as opposed to hiring a virtual assistant for say 10, $11 an hour, it just makes it that much easier. You can hire 3 VAs for the price of one. And if you develop the right systems and processes for them to leverage, they can be equally impactful in your business or even more. So that's what my journey was like. We just received a 2023 and 2024 Culture Award for our virtual staffing agency by the Chicago Tribune. And now we've got, a company with hundreds of people in it. And it's really exciting because what we do here is we help business owners fill the gaps where they might not be great. Okay, so let's just say you're a salesperson, but you're weak in marketing or weak in accounting. We can come and support you in the areas where you really need help. We'll build the systems for you. In addition to that, we'll staff them with the right people. And I'd like to just take a step back. When I first started using virtual assistants, I was terrible at it. And it was one of those like, hey, watch what I do and do what I do. There was no official training process. There was nothing documented. And I was actually hospitalized 3 times with chest pain because I had so much activity coming in and the growth was so explosive that I couldn't handle it. And I finally got one virtual assistant on, and we started documenting every single process. And that's what unlocked all my time. I started, I had my email managed, then I started building my property management company, and then I built all the processes out in that. So my suggestion to your audience is, I know it's a hard thing to do to take the time out to do that, but you will get an exponential return on that time. And I'd also like to state this, Aaron, for me, I am a control freak. How many of us out there say nobody can do it better than me? Well, somebody can do it as well as you if you actually document the script that you want them to use, document the process that you want them to follow, have a feedback loop that shows you that they did it the way that you wanted to do it. That was the big unlock and aha moment for me that I was able to accomplish. And I noticed like the 3 first virtual assistant companies that I worked with, they provided me crappy people that weren't intelligent, that couldn't speak very good English, and they were trying to force them on me. They had no process other than like giving me somebody, what I like to call a body shop. It's like, oh, you need somebody? Here is somebody, but do they have the right skill set? Do they have the right culture fit for my company? Does their personality profile even fit with the role? None of that stuff was done 8 to 10 years ago. So those are the things that we built into what we deliver as a service. And I know that like if you were to go online at skillvirtually.com, take a look at our testimonials, like my favorite thing about my job is I get to talk to people 2 to 3 weeks after we build their systems out for them, after we put the virtual assistant in place. They have a whole new vision for their company. They have a whole new, it's like opening their eyes to what's possible that wasn't possible before.
Gosh, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, I think I want to kind of jump right in, actually, Sean. A lot of people listening, even as you said, they have a different vision for their company, right? So many people get into real estate, mortgage, investing, et cetera, and they think this is freedom and flexibility. I'm going to be self-employed. I'm going to be my own boss, right? And at least in my own experience, I did so with no financial safety net, no game plan, no systems, no confidence. And I, tapped into the mentorship and training of managers and things, but a lot of it felt really out of alignment for me. So for my experience, I wasn't, rookie of the year like it sounds like you were. I was a slow growing person, and later when things finally clicked and I started to experience the growth in the volume and the business and the financial success, I had never really expected it, let alone planned for it. And so my own success was crumbling me as a person. I was simply surviving my own, success and trying to convince myself to be fine. And when I'm working with people, I try to help them understand that it's not easier when you're drowning in your business to backtrack and put that solid foundation in place than it is for somebody who actually is experienced maybe a slower season in their business, and that there's opportunity when things are quiet to really evaluate how you want your business to look. But when you said, a different vision for their company, I think so many people listening are still in that solopreneur role that they think, self-employment is freedom, but they know it's not, because if they're stressed financially, they don't feel free. If they're stressed, if they're overwhelmed, they don't feel free. How do we help people change the identity of true business ownership and owning a company, for example? It doesn't have to look like some massive organization, but it does have to look like planning for success, preparing for it, expecting it, having good systems, people to run the systems. Like, how do you help people overcome that fear, I guess, of it needs to be me, even though it doesn't feel good the way it is right now when it's just you. So like how do we bridge that gap in the mindset and the execution and everything else?
Well, the first thing that I would suggest to anybody looking to do this, and this is what I tell my own kids, go and find the smartest person that's doing what you want to do and find a way to offer them value and learn from them. You will learn the right thing to do right away instead of making all the mistakes that they made along the way. Your level of experience will grow exponentially. In addition to that, Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach is one of my coaches, and he's got a book called Who Not How, and 10x is easier than 2x. Who Not How is basically millionaire thinkers think, how can I do this myself? What do I need to do? Billionaire thinkers think, um, like what systems do I need to have in place? Who do I need to hire and how do I need to support them? Both things take the same amount of time, but they get a completely different result. And it's having the vision to think about that in the first place of like, what do I really want? And here's another thing. I don't think everybody should become an entrepreneur. And I want to be realistic. I talk to entrepreneurs all day long in my company. Some of them are equipped to be entrepreneurs and some of them aren't. That's the truth. You need to like really look at yourself in the mirror and say, am I the type of person that's going to go out like, am I going to not give up no matter what? Because that's what it's like to be an entrepreneur. You're going to get hit with something different that you've never experienced once a week, and you're going to have to figure out how to overcome it. So you have to be a constant learner, and you have to become a quick expert at learning how to make good decisions right away. So, an example of that is, for me, I tend to learn 2 hours a day every day before I even start work, and it's when I'm working out. And that's what it takes to be an entrepreneur because you have to lead people. You have to be one of the smartest people in the room to guide all the decisions. Everybody's looking at you to do that. If you're not committed to doing that and if you want to be the CEO because you want to be the CEO by title, like most CEOs don't care that they're the CEO. They care about the mission of building and creating something. Like that's what they're driven to do. Make sure that's at your core. That's what resonates with me. And when I recognize talent and other people that are great leaders, it's who they are. No matter what, it wouldn't matter what title. They want to build something extraordinary. They're passionate about it. They're enthusiastic about it. They're bringing all their effort to it every day. When they wake up at 3 a.m, they're ready to work. They want to get after it right away. If that's not you, it might not be for you. I've talked to a lot of CEOs who, they're 3 years in after doing a raise and, they're stressed out of their mind and, they're about to go bankrupt. And there's a lot of bad stuff going on because they didn't have the proper plan. They didn't get the proper mentor. They had a vision and they didn't take all the proper steps. And by the way, business is really hard. It's not, I wouldn't necessarily say it's easy. Even with the success that I've had, there's been a tremendous amount of bumps in the road. And I would argue the level of stress that I've had throughout doing it, it hasn't always been very manageable. There is not a lot of balance in becoming an entrepreneur. It's actually quite the opposite. You got to have a lot of sacrifice in the beginning to reap the long-term rewards that you can get. But the long-term rewards that I'm experiencing right now, I've traveled 20 weeks internationally for fun this year. I set out 2024, it's going to be my best year ever, and so far it has been. I coach all my kids' sports. I'm living the life on my terms of like doing whatever I want, whenever I want. But I'm 25 years into my career. It did not happen overnight. There's a lot of hard work that took to get here. And I will even tell you at my level, I've had to take the mental standpoint of like growth, 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 which is always what I've been trying to do, learn, get better, to I'm okay. Like, you know what? I don't need to grow exponentially this year. I don't need to. I have the money that I need. What I want to do is start living the life that I originally set out to do when I started 25 years ago. And now how do I start creating that balance? And here I am 25 years later. I'm not the only one. I belong to several different masterminds and CEO groups of other people that people like far into the game are still trying to figure out work-life balance. And I would tell you one of the most valuable things that my company gives and what I am passionate about is if you listen to the testimonials that we have, people will talk about the impact that I gave them from a business standpoint. But when they talk about the time that they got back to envision a larger vision for their company and what they're now able to achieve, that's what really gets them going because it's the work-life balance. I had a grown man cry and say, he sat down and went on a vacation with his family for the first time in 5 years. He hasn't been able to do that in 5 years. I just got off the phone with the CEO today who in 4 years has never been on a vacation. that's reality for a lot of people. It's not this from this thing that you read in a book where everybody's instantly successful. It's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of learning in a lot of different disciplines. You got to be kind of good everywhere, and where you're not, you got to find some people that can really support you and build your team.
First of all, I really appreciate you talking about, the mistakes that you've made and the bumps and the overcoming the fear and all the things, because one thing that comes up a lot is this idea of not comparing yourself on chapter 1 to someone on chapter 10, having no idea what transpired for them between chapters 1 and chapter 10. And that, to your point, if you go find the smartest person doing what you want, provide some value and learn from them, you might get to their chapter 10 by your chapter 4. And I do appreciate when people are honest and transparent about that, because it's so easy sometimes for someone to listen and then hear, your energy, your enthusiasm, your drive, your success, and think, oh, must be nice. It's easy for him. And it's not. It's taken years of, blood, sweat, and tears and commitment and not being willing to quit. And now, to your point, trying to reverse engineer what it looks like to live in the abundance that you've created for yourself, and enjoy the very precious life that you're trying to fuel and finance, right? So one of the questions I have for you, you talked earlier about being a control freak, and you also talked about getting this culture award. And so I'd love to kind of unpack, for real estate professionals, how do we tactically apply the concept of enlisting the help of, say, virtual assistants, being great leaders so we can have a good culture, getting out of our own way as the control freak, when in reality, the control freak who thinks they're doing everything great and is afraid someone else is going to drop the ball is already dropping the ball. Like, there's none of us are great at all the things. And what I found is that every single time I found a rock star and got out of their way, I realized how they could level up this half-assed vision I had, because they have skills that complement my shortcomings, right? So that's kind of it's a multifaceted question, but there's a lot of resistance around virtual assistants in real estate sales and mortgage sales, because we think of it as this boots on the ground business, and how somebody halfway across the world going to support me, and then how do I get out of my own way as a control freak, and then how do I be a good leader? I mean, there's so much going on there. So how have you seen it, tactically applied to, let's say, a top producing real estate agent who's just tired of being tired?
Let me give you a perfect example. An executive assistant is the number one way to unlock your time. The average person is looking through 100 emails a day. They're taking in 20, 30 phone calls a day once you get to a certain level of scale. And then you reach a point where you can't get beyond that. I got there when I was in construction, when I was managing 10 to 12 projects at a time. I'm still having to buy 10 to 12 projects a month. All that is going on at the same time, where it's completely overwhelming. You have to take your time back and start systematizing how you're going to structure your time and how you're going to buy it back. So in terms of being a great leader, number one, it's actually thinking it takes a lot longer to train somebody than you think, and you really need to invest in the second you. So in the executive assistant role, I was taking in about 150 emails and 20 phone calls a day. So what did I do? I categorized all of my email. So this is what we do as a service for people. We're going to go into your last 90 days of email. We're going to categorize all of it. We're going to build templated responses that are in your voice, right? So that way we maintain your level of quality, like what your connection is to the people that you work with. Now we've got that. Now, if that is 60 to 75% of the inbound traffic that comes in your inbox, it can get answered by a virtual assistant that's doing the job. You just bought back all that time. What if that took you 3 to 4 hours a day to do? I'll just tell you the mental load. I haven't been in email for 3 years. The mental load of not being like having to check my email, like my vision is clear. I'm making less decisions. I'm making more important decisions. I can strategically think about the growth of my company. That's what a great leader does. I have time blocking. So I used to have every Tuesday and Friday off, meaning no calls on my calendar. Now I would do leadership meetings during those days, but those days are really meant for me to think about what systems and processes do I really need to look at in the company? What kind of reports do I need to look at to figure out what departments need my guidance and need like coaching? Like that's how I would spend my time. It wasn't doing activity. It was thinking about growth. It was thinking about management. It was thinking about where the business is going and how to help it. And early on in my career, I never even had the time to do it. It was just more and more and more and more. Now, as I've advanced in my career, I need to think more strategically about making chess moves instead of checker moves, right? It's not from here to here, it's from here to there. How am I going to go from here to there? So, in terms of being a control freak, the thing that got me out of it is I was able to write down the way that I wanted everything to happen and then train somebody on how to do that. And quite frankly, the first assistant I had was a warm, bubbly female who was really engaging and everybody loved her on the phone. So she was exactly what I needed in that role. And she was very good at helping me document everything. She was very detail oriented with everything that I needed. Where, I might forget something. Let me ask you, how many people, if you're a high performer and you're doing so much, and you might be doing 2 or 3 showings for the day that are going to take up 6 hours. So that means your inbox is going unmanned, right? No one's there to respond to anything. What's it like from a customer service standpoint? Email comes in, email goes out 5 minutes later. Email comes in, email goes out 5 minutes later, and you don't even need to know about it. And then you get a report that shows you. So this is what we built. We have an SOD that shows every single thing that she did for me that day. I can see what she did, like what came in and how she responded to it and what the status of it was. Now, if there's any outliers, those outliers would be sitting beneath that. Now, if there's anything that's an emergency, as emergency things would come in, I would say that's an emergency. I want a text message and a call immediately if that ever happens again. And I outline that. So it's the framework in which we build everything that makes your life easy. So my kids' sporting events, my Bears tickets, all that's already in my calendar with allocated time of an hour to get to every single event. All that gets worked in along with my travel schedule, when I'm free, when I'm not, when I'll take meetings, when I won't take meetings. That person is there to protect my time and make all the time that I am spending in my business high impact. And that's way we help people do the same thing. And a lot of people come to me and they're like, well, you have all these things and I don't know how to do that. I'm really good at saying, where are you at? Where do you want to go? These are the first couple of things that we'll put in place for you, as is my team. My team is amazing at doing this. And they've been doing it for 13 years. They've helped thousands of clients develop the systems in their businesses that have done 2, 3, 4, 5x their company in a short period of time. I would ask people this: if you had the opportunity to spend $11 an hour to take the risk to see if somebody could help you, and they could help you double your business and give you back at least half your time, you'd be foolish for not taking that chance to figure out if it was going to work. Because most entrepreneurs are afraid of this. They're afraid that I've gotten it to this point. What if I don't deliver the same level of customer service and I start losing, right? Because that's our biggest fear. We get it to a certain point and we want the fear of losing. Well, you're never going to grow beyond what you like your true potential if you have that mindset. You have to shift to, I'm going to put a system in. If they can do it 80% as good as this, my job is to make sure I multiply the business by 3. That way I'm multiplying by 3 and I don't need to worry about the 20% of people that I don't deliver perfect service for. Because I got news for you. You're not delivering perfect service. If you get to your breaking point, you're not going to be able to answer everybody on time and get back to everybody on time. And there's going to be a breaking point there everywhere. It's preparing before that even happens and putting the systems and processes in place so that you don't get there.
I just want to point out that, you know, you make it sound so easy. And the truth of the matter is, I know from experience that it's not necessarily easy, but it is so powerful and so necessary that you've just simply outlined a way to simplify success and growth, which cannot be done if we keep doing things the way we've always done them. And I know that once I got out of my own way, it started to unlock the portal to just exponential growth. I mean, there's no way I would have ever wanted to do the amount of volume that we did doing it the way that I had been doing it when I kept on burning out at a certain breaking point, right? And to your point, it's like we have this illusion that we're doing our very best by running around like chickens with our heads cut off, running on fumes, giving from an empty well. I think our clients deserve better. They deserve a version of you that is a true professional who is rested and centered and focused and energized and enthused and present and ready to deliver the highest level of service. And we simply can't do that when we are juggling so many balls all at once. So the other thing I want to point out is that there's probably people listening that can 100% relate to this experience of being at the breaking point, and they're still scared, and I get that. And I'm going to say it's worth it anyway. But there's also people listening that maybe are newer to the business and they're thinking like that sounds like a good problem to have. So, what is your advice to somebody who's starting out and has a vision for success, but doesn't believe they've earned the right to consider what it looks like to have a solid infrastructure with support in place?
That's the foundational element. I want to go back to what I was talking about earlier. My assistant, 2 minutes before every call, he calls me. Every single meeting, he's recording all the notes, putting them in a Skype for me to read before he gets. I'm so prepared, to your point, that my business is easy. I just show up and do what I do. I'm under control. I'm stress-free, opposed to the person that was in poor health before, completely stressed, completely overwhelmed, couldn't sleep because of the level of stress that was going on. I'm in a situation where my stress now is thinking of like, this opportunity is too small. I have to work on something much bigger. So to your point of somebody who's newer, systems are what you need to lay the foundation of. And if anybody's new, your number one investment you need to make is in education. You need to invest in systems out of the gate, because that's going to unlock exponential growth right out of the gates. If you try to do this yourself, like I think you just made mention the way that I was doing it. Of course, the way that I was doing it, I'll give you an example. I used to wake up every day at the auctions at 4 in the morning and underwrite all the properties that I wanted to buy for the day. I would spend 4 hours doing that before I hit the road. And then I would be racing to every single property to try to figure that out. And, I was doing that daily and it was not efficient. I stopped. I hired 2 virtual assistants. We have 1,500 properties that go to auction a month. I was able to build a system that narrowed it down to the top 100. We underwrite the top 100 of those properties, right? I have now a guy that goes and drives all that properties, uploads all the photos into a Slack channel, grades the system, grades the number of, grades the amount of rehab we do, knocks on the door, goes in, gets a full assessment of the property. I'm buying 10 to 15 properties a month now. I don't have to do any of the work. Other than say, yes, this analysis makes sense. Now, I was in the field for 6 years. I understand the geography. I understand how to analyze the assets quickly. But like I was the person that was driving all those properties myself. I was the person that was doing all of the underwriting myself. And it was really underwriting in my head. Like, I think that's going to cost 100 grand, based on what I see. But now I can get photos, I can get data, I can get analysis. I can make the decision to buy a property with the system that I created in literally 30 seconds to a minute by looking at a series of fields that we've designed. And I've taken my volume, what used to be maybe 4 to 5 properties a month, to 15 consistently. And I got back all my time. I'm making more money than I ever had, but that system that I had put in place was there. So that's why I say education. Find the people that already have the system, because that's going to unlock exponential growth right away. You could be the guy that spends 5 years like me driving all the properties, looking at all the properties, or the guy that's like, wow, why don't I systematize this right from the start? And now I'm going to spend more time raising more capital. And instead of getting to your five where I'm making, $200,000 a year, I might get to $300,000 a year two, and then $500,000 a year three, and then so on and so forth, which is, again, that's what VAs unlock for me. And now the other thing is the transaction coordination, the level of activity that's coming in through that. You got to systematize all that work, right? So if I get a VA in place that knows how to schedule closings, that knows how to, sign off on a contract, do all the stuff that I need to do. Now I've got another system that I created, and that's how I've created all the velocity to get me out of everything. And in terms of being new, again, you have to figure out the systems. You have to figure out the person that's already reached the level of success that you want to achieve, and you have to replicate what they do. I'm not a genius by any stretch of the imagination. What I do is I model success. And I'm very specific. This is what I teach my whole team. This is what I teach my kids. If we're going to go start a new company, I analyze the top 20 companies. I narrow it down to the top 3. I understand what the best practices of all of them are. I understand what their cadence, their sales pitch, their marketing, what differentiates them in every way and gives them an advantage. And then I build my own based on best practices. That's what you want to do to get ahead of everybody quickly. If you want to think you're stubborn and you know better than everybody, trust me, a lot of people have tried things before you. They've spent a lot of money to figure them out. Copy what's already working. Identify those things and test them out. You'll get there so much faster.
I love this so much. I am such a nerd for all these systems and scale. I love it. So if folks want to find you or follow you, Sean, get a hold of you, learn about, scale virtually, all the things, what's the best way to do so?
So we are going to be starting a community pretty soon for scaling up, but you can, if you'd like to book a free consultation where you come to us with your biggest business challenge, we'll help you out with that. You can come to scalevirtually.com and just click on, schedule an appointment. We do have a free consultation. It's about 45 minutes. We're going to get to understand you, your team, what your business challenges are. We will tell you the systems that we put in other companies to help them solve that, and then show you the roadmap for how we can help you scale exponentially. So that, as well as I am a speaker at IMN, Limitless, a lot of the largest conferences in the country. I'm a national speaker on that stage, so hopefully you can catch me there. I'm deeply passionate about helping people grow and scale their companies. My mission has always been to spend as much time as I can with my three boys, make sure that I'm best dad that I can be. And, I know that that's something that we all struggle with. And if you are not doing this, if you are not putting the time in to build the infrastructure that's going to buy your time back, you will be in the same place only years later. You have to choose the path that is going to get you there the fastest.
Love it.
We are a done for you service, Aaron. So like, you don't have to think about, well, I don't know how I would do this. We will show you exactly how to do it. We will tell you how peers just like you are in your position and how they got to the next level and then the next level after that. So as you go through the different phases of growth, we're there to be your partner and support you every step of the way.
Beautiful. I love it so much. Thank you for taking the time, Sean.
Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it. To all my friends out there, how fired up are you right now? I mean, I'm so inspired myself, and I'm going to be scheduling a call with Sean. I really enjoy listening to the brains of those who understand systems because, guys, this is not my forte. And I understand that for so many years, I would bang my head against the ceiling, my own personal capacity, and try to figure it all out myself. And I was just running on fumes and exhausted. And it wasn't until I learned to get out of my own way and surround myself with people that are ahead of me in the game, coaches, mentors, communities, support, assistants, team members, all the things, we started to really grow and have more fun than ever before while creating a life of freedom. That is something that I'm proud of and I'm enjoying, and I want that for all of you. So make sure to reach out to Sean or follow him and explore this for yourself. Don't stay stuck doing the same old things, expecting different results. And as always, if you're loving this content, make sure you leave that 5-star review. If you haven't yet, please do, because it helps us continue to attract amazing guests like Sean and help this content get found so more people can build a life you don't need a vacation from. I love you. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.